Introduce yourself and your media affiliation. Thank you. Questions?
Andrew Welsh-Huggins. I work for the Associated Press. Mr. President, could you talk more about what happened in Nairobi over the weekend and how it affects Somalia and what Somalia could do about things like that?
Thank you, Judge. First of all, the Shabab phenomena in Somalia is not a local phenomena. It's not only Somali phenomena. It's not only a Somali problem. It's a regional problem, and it's a continental problem, and a problem at worldwide. So what has happened in Westgate, in Nairobi, these are the same that happened in Uganda, Kampala, when the World Cup was going on, where 70 people, innocent people, were watching the World Cup was assassinated. This is the same as what happened in the courthouse in Mogadishu a month ago. This is the same as what happened in the United Nations Common Compound in Mogadishu. And lastly, this is the same as what happened a few weeks back in Mogadishu, where a cafeteria, similar, smaller, the one in Westgate, but similar, civilized people, students, journalists, businessmen, get together and have a tea. There was a car driven into it and exploded it, and more than a dozen people died there. What is happening in Nairobi right now is one of those things that happen, maybe at grander scale. We are very sorry for what happened, and this is the threat of Al-Shabaab to the region and to the world at large. We send our condolences to the Kenyan government and the Kenyan people. I talked to President Uhuru twice, and we sent an official letter to them, and I'm going to visit Kenya to share with the grievances with the Kenyan people. It's a very sad situation, very painful. But one thing common we agree between the government of Somalia and the government of Kenya is we will leave any stone unturned to get after these, the perpetrators of this terrorist attack, and we will do all that we can to bring them in front of the justice. It's a sad situation, but this will not be the end. We will make sure that they have been brought into the justice and have been asked what they have done.
Mr. President, Tom Bordering, WOSU Radio in Columbus. There's a group of protesters outside that allege that your government has ties to Al-Shabaab. I'd like you to speak to those allegations, if you would.
Well, I would like them to ask the proofs that they have, first of all. The other thing is that Somalia now is hitting the road of democracy. So our people, we have been using in the past to fight. People are having boards, many of them use it to hold the AK-47 riot in the hand. Today we are very glad that many of them, they got the boards and they are demonstrating. There is no, the proof we have is in place. We're fighting Al-Shabaab. We moved them, proved it. We pushed them out of the major towns and cities. They are now running into the remote areas only. And because of that failure, they are fighting among them and killing each other. I myself, I was attempted, my life was attempted when I was elected 2 days only. And recently I was traveling in one of the regions of Somalia where again I was attacked and so close to be killed. Our people are dying, all the government people are dying. Yesterday in Mogadishu, a member of the parliament was killed by Al-Shabaab. They made target assassinations, roadside bombs, and they do the same, and all of us we are targeted. So I would say it's what that word statement represents another agenda, but it's not the true one of the government of Somalia. We are very famous, our positions are very clear, our undertakings are very clear. We are there to uproot Shabaab and its ideology.
Robin Haynes, NBC4. A lot of the protesters as well talked about violence towards women and how there are a lot of rapes and things. Can you talk about things that you're trying to change and the problem of that issue in Somalia?
Yes, after 22 years of anarchy and conflict, one can imagine the situation in the ground, how it looks like. And reversing that situation cannot happen within a very short period of time. It will take some time. But The Somali government, federal government of Somalia has very clear policies in place, whereby the world knows, in the case of the human rights and the violence against women, specifically the rape case. We have a zero tolerance on rape, and the government has put in place unities, civilian, who investigates the rape case whenever one happens. We put in place police units, which are mainly consisting of women, to investigate the rape case separately. We have established special clinics for health clinic for the rape victims only. And we providing support as a safe house for the victims until they come out of the first shock of the trauma, until they are confident enough to go back to the community. We give them support. The government of Somalia has did all this in place. We have recently established the roadmap for human rights, moving Somalia from those where it is to until it comes up at par with the standard of the international human rights level. So the government is working very hard, but we come to a place where none of these were existing in the past. And mainly, this is based on violence. But in the legal system, Somalia, when it got independence in 1960, till the state collapsed, till today, there are no laws that segregate women from any type. Women use it to compete with men in the schools, in the government work, but there are cultures that are not easy to overcome. Those cultures does not support women, but as a government, there are no legal instruments that segregates women from anything. And today, the limited number of students we have, the majority of them is girls, although circumstances are still difficult. Society as such is not against women. In schools are not against women. In the workplace are not against women becoming politicians. We have our deputy prime minister as a woman. Last week we appointed the first woman governor in our central bank, and I think it's the first one in the African continent even. So Somalia, as a government, as a state, there are no segregation for women, but we have cultural hindrances that does not support the potentiality of the women. And it's a matter of time when the government will put in place policies that will overcome those cultural hindrances. Thank you.
Mark Farron, typical Columbus Dispatch. In your time in America, since you've been here, but in the most recent time, have you talked with U.S. authorities about Al-Shabaab's recruitment of young Somalis here in America to go back to Somalia, and what's being done about that?
The United States government is doing its most to fight against recruiting the young Somali Americans from here to this. And it's sad, like preliminary information indicates now, those who attacked in Nairobi, some of them, they used to live here in the United States. We don't know whether still they are citizens or not, but preliminary information indicates that they left here in the States. So it's not only for the United States, but people coming back from Canada, from UK, from other parts of Europe, and going the same thing. So this phenomenon is not a Somali phenomenon, it's a worldwide phenomenon. It has ideology, and ideology has no citizenship. So it's a phenomenon that needs all of us to work together in order to overcome. And more of it, the statelessness, the anarchy, the poverty, all these are factors that contribute towards this. Why Somalia is the base? Because there is no government in control of all the territory in the past 2 years. So this is a time we requested the world, and the world understands up to a certain extent to help Somalia have a functioning state who controls the territory. Shabab is not possible then. Unless otherwise we will have such problem that they remain in Somalia and then come out to the rest of the world and make the heinous thing that they can.
Last question.
Okay, sorry. Sheila Reeves with Channel 10 here in town. So is what you're saying in some ways achieving democracy is something like the ideas behind it or something that the people of Somalia
they're new, the ideas are new, so maybe, you know, it's harder to get everybody on board with what you're doing?
And nothing starts with perfection. But what's important is things to start. Democracy has not been practiced in Somalia over 40 years now. When elections happened in Somalia, that was late 1969. From then onward, we have been doing some other means of governance. Many of them was not bad, but at the end it was not. Political pluralism was not practiced there on elections. This is a time now we decided it to start once for all. We do not expect that everything will be perfect, but we want to start so that then only it can grow up, democracy in Somalia. In 2016, for almost close to a half a century later, we want elections to happen in Somalia. September 2016 is the date we took that elections will happen at the local and national level in Somalia. We have our own programs in place, but the Somali government is working very hard and committed, what we call the Vision 2016, which ends up as a one person, one vote. Then from there on, Somali democracy will be going on, and democratization of Somalia will take some time, but we are committed to start it right now. Thank you very much.